Yep, coming into Thredbo, and it is absolutely pouring with rain. And the cars coming out of Thredbo are more than we've ever seen coming out at, 10 to 7 at night. There's been a constant flow, not right now, but flyer on.
4 degrees.
4 degrees and pouring with rain.
Absolutely bucketing down.
With severe weather warning signs on the road.
I can hardly see.
She's not looking pretty. Another car coming out. Here's a few. It's like a mass exodus from Thredbo. We have picked a good week. Apparently last Tuesday somebody was saying that it was the best skiing they've had in years. We've just come the wrong week.
So we've just pulled into Heatherbrae Pies, Sutton Forest. Don't have to go down to Goulburn now to get a pie. They got a good pie, but I must admit the sausage rolls were pretty lame. It's really small and it was only lukewarm. So it's freezing cold here because of course the wind is picked up and it's pretty chilly. So where are we off to?
We're off to Thredbo.
Off to Thredbo.
Yes. We're going to get blown away.
So why aren't we in any hurry to go to Thredbo?
Because it's absolutely pouring with rain with, I think, I can't remember, 63 km/h wind gusts.
Well, Thredbo was shut yesterday. Perisher was shut yesterday due to high winds and up to 200 millimetres of rain. So we're heading down for the Interclub races tomorrow, and
are cancelled.
They've been cancelled.
So we'll probably just be, I don't know, exploring coffee shops.
Yeah, getting up late, going to coffee shops, doing a few bits and pieces, and
shopping at Thredbo is nothing, so you really can't go browsing around too many shops.
And it's expensive. So
catch up with some old friends though, which would be good.
Probably be spending a lot of time sitting in the old Crackenback Lodge drinking beer. So this is it, Crackenback Lodge. Oh, Crackenback Lodge, eh? So Crackenback was actually the first lodge ever built in Thredbo. And all the founding members of Thredbo were the people that were responsible for building this lodge. Jeff Hughes, one of them. Jeff Hughes was the founding member of Thredbo, and Jeff actually was working on the Snowy Mountains hydro scheme and got Charles Anton and Tony Sponner and came down and found the perfect site, and the three of them formed the Thredbo Kosciuszko Society, and then they approached Lend-Lease because they couldn't fund it themselves, so they approached Lend-Lease and they got a 50-year lease out of Lend-Lease, and it was 50% Lend-Lease and the other 50% was made up with Tony Sponner, Charles Anton and Jeff Hughes. So I'll go into a bit of a story about what happened with all that later, but there it is, there's Crackenback, first lodge. Obviously this was rebuilt, and this was rebuilt in 1986, but this lodge first opened in 1957, and there's some photos inside which document that it was actually the first lodge ever here. So we'll go in and have a bit of a squiz. So this is the entrance foyer where you can come in and get a bit of snow off yourself. And we come up here, we've got an entranceway in there, and then just in here we've got the ski room. So have a look at the ski room. And this in summertime is the bike room where they put all their bikes. So we've got plenty of racks there. Workbench where I'll get my skis out on there. There's my little collection of heads over there, GS's, slaloms and the All Mountains. We've also got a little laundry in there with a loo. And then if we come in here, we've got the drying room, and the poor old drying room. It's very smelly, as you can imagine, with everybody's wet clothes and stuff in here. People like to keep the door open, which doesn't help because it doesn't dry, but there's plenty of room. So out of the ski room, we come into the little area down here, little trophy cupboard. Stairs coming up here. And we've got rooms up the side up here, down here. So as we come up the stairs up here, up to the upper level, and up here we've got a plaque, which was to commemorate the opening of the new lodge after it was refurbished, 1986. My dad, John Rumble, was the chairman at the time, and he was instrumental in getting the whole thing done. And it also commemorates the original opening by Sir William Hudson, Commissioner of the Snowy Mountains Authority, August the 4th, 1957. So that's another bit of proof that first lodge here, there was nothing else around. So then we move on upstairs. Up here to the next level, a bit dark. Come up here. We've got a couple more rooms up in there. And we have same sort of deal up here with some more rooms. And a couple of nice bathrooms. So up in this little level here, we've got a little lounge room. All the photos. There's the photo of the site being picked. Would have been 1956. There's a photo of Jeff Hughes, which is actually taken in 1955. So here's the volunteer crew that built the rope tow, the very first rope tow in Thredbo in 1957, Easter 57, and they had it running for the winter of 57. And then of course they put the chairlift in. That was part of the deal with Lend-Lease. They had to build a chairlift. Well, that was part of the deal with the national parks. They had to build a chairlift and a 100-room hotel, which is actually the Thredbo Alpine Hotel, which has been here all that time. So because they couldn't afford to do it, Jeff Hughes and Tony Sponner and Charles Anton, they reached out and partnered up with Lend-Lease. And Lend-Lease were the ones that provided the hotel and the chairlift. If we go over here, you can see the rope tow. Pretty rough going, 1957. That would have been such hard yards. And then here we've got Dad, Tommy Tomasi with Stein Eriksson. So this was for filming of John Jay's film Around the World on Skis. Dad had an opportunity to meet him as part of the Ski Patrol, one of the founding members of the Ski Patrol. And then down here we've got 1964. And there's a few people there. There's Dad there, Tommy Tomasi. That's Danny, Adrian Studley, Ludwig Rabiner. So that's George Freuden. So I can't remember the names of the other people. So now we come into the main lounge. There's Sarah kicking back, having a rest after the big heavy day of skiing. And there's the photo. Oh, it's a bit hard to see with the glare. Of Crackenback, the first lodge in Thredbo. So we've got Crackenback just there. And this is actually the staff quarters. That were the staff quarters responsible for the rope tow and for the chairlift that was subsequently built in 1958. So we have a bit of a look, and we've got the dining area here. Dining, nice kitchen, all the cupboards in there for all the rooms. Plenty of kitchen space, workspace, a couple of ovens, cooktops, dishwashers, a bit more workspace. And out onto the balcony. Out on the balcony. So yeah, out on the balcony. Once upon a time we had a beautiful view of the mountain, but now all these trees have grown, we don't have a view of it all. I guess that's one disadvantage of being down so low, but as you can see, the hotel's right there. We're actually probably the closest we were, and we probably still are, the closest actual private lodge to the hotel, the bars, the shops, food and the mountain. So being the first lodge here, I guess we had the opportunity to do that. So a quick bit of history for you about the old Thredbo. So Jeff Hughes, who was the guy that actually started Thredbo, in 1955 approached Charles Anton and Tony Spawner, who he knew from working on the Snowy Mountains hydro scheme, to come over to this place that he'd sort of recognised from when he was travelling through the main range during ski racing, come and have a look and see if there was an opportunity to build a ski resort. So they came over, went, yep, looks good, I reckon you could build one here. So they got together, approached National Parks and Wildlife, and they granted them a lease. Part of the deal with the lease was that they had to build a 100-room motel and a chairlift by 1958. So they went, yep, no worries, we can do it. They knew full well that they couldn't do it because they didn't have the cash. So what they did is, through a mutual friend, a guy by the name of Tyne Reed, they approached a company called Lend-Lease. Lend-Lease came on board and took a 50% share of Thredbo. So Lend-Lease built the 100-room motel, which is the Thredbo Alpine Hotel, still there today, and managed to build Crackenback chairlift, the first chairlift, which opened in 1958. So what happened is Jeff Hughes unfortunately had a serious accident. Most of the impact he had with the tree was with his head and left him with serious injury. He couldn't afford the medical costs for the repairs to his head, so he sold his share to Lend-Lease. Then what happened is Charles Anton and Tony Spawner, sometime later, they had a huge falling out and they ended up selling their share to Lend-Lease. So then Lend-Lease owned 100% of Thredbo. So here I am, sitting out on the balcony, having a beer in the sun. Absolute cracker of a day. And you may be wondering why I'm not out there skiing. Well, unfortunately, I came a big buster yesterday. Big high-speed crash, and I've torn my medial meniscus. So it's only Tuesday. That's it for my rest of the season. No more skiing for me. Anyway, that's what happens when you do stupid things and ski too fast in unfavourable conditions. Oh well, not the first time, won't be the last time. So while I'm here, I might as well continue with the old story of Thredbo and a bit of another fun fact. So in about 1984, my father John wanted to do some renovations to the lodge. So he went to see Lend-Lease about getting the lodge renovated, and they told him to forget it. No point in doing it, because once the 50-year lease expires, Lend-Lease is going to take over the whole of Thredbo and turn it into a big commercial, thriving ski resort. So they were going to take all the lodges, all the retail stores, take everything. So Dad thought that was a bit unfair of him to try and take all the lodges. So he went round, saw all the people in the lodges, went and saw the retail people, got a guy by the name of Ray Mildren, who owned Sash's, a clothing store up the road, and they formed a committee called the Sublessees Committee. So they got monies from all the lodges and retail so they could get a bit of a conglomerate going to take on Lend-Lease, and that's what they did. They took on Lend-Lease. They took out a full page article in the Sydney Morning Herald, just bagging out Lend-Lease, so to speak. And because of all of that, Lend-Lease knew they had a battle on their hands, so they decided to renew the leases for another 50 years, which is 2057. So if that didn't happen, all of Thredbo as we know it would have gone in 2007. So thanks to his foresight in the 80s, he managed to secure another 50-year lease. So who knows what's going to happen in 2057, but we'll wait and see. So the old Thredbo village is certainly looking a lot different to what it used to do in the 60s and 70s, especially in the 60s when I first came down here. Built all these nice condos down in here. The old hotel's still here, conference centre, a few shops, and head down to the Historical Society. So we're just down at the Thredbo Historical Society. Came down, have a little bit of a look. There's been a lot of stuff donated down here. And I was talking to the guy here who's looking after it at the moment. And we came across this book here, History of Thredbo. And there we have And we have Dad back in the very early days. I'm not sure when that was about 62 or something. With Tommy. 1962. So, and that book is Thredbo the early years. And then there's another photo of him in here. That is the very early days. That's 1964, the beginning of 64. Tommy Tomasi, Adrian Studley, Dad and Ludwig Rabina. So I'll have a look at some more photos around the lodge. This one here is some people going across the main range, Little Austria, 1955. Annette MacArthur Onslow, John McDonough and Malcolm Painter. And we've seen the one of the lodge there. And then this one here is looking north from Mount Kosciuszko, winter 1958. She would have been pretty rugged in 1958. So this one here is climbing over from Mount Northcote, from Albina to Kanama Hut in 1953. The gear and walking through all of that would have just been unbelievable. So this one here is Kanama Hut, which is one of the little huts out on the main range, 1955. And then this one here is Thredbo, looking north from Karela. So if those of you know Thredbo, little Karela hut, which is not there. So it's looking across to the slopes where Antons and Sponners are in 1957. There's another shot of Kanama Hut, winter of 1955. And then if we come down here, Friday Flat, 1955. She certainly looks a little bit different now. So here we have a great old photo of Martin Kershaw, who was on the left there. He was an instructor and the national team coach. And Leonard Earnhardt, who was the founder of the Thredbo Ski Patrol and the chief instructor. And he first came here in 1958 and stayed to 1957.